Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Straight Out of Context. I am Barbara Ann. As you know, I have gone over the Amelia Byrd case, and the reason why is because Gypsy Rose Blanchard was friends with her and has loosely advocated for her. She did in early 2024 after she was released from prison. She did a video on her TikTok regarding such, and then she's also wiped her Instagram at least 15 times that I have personally counted. And when I mean wipe, I don't mean the deactivation. She's done that about 7 or 8 times. I stopped keeping count of that. But what I mean wipe is she has actually deleted all of this stuff off of her Instagram and then posted things. But then one of the first things she posted back was a little picture advocating for Amelia Byrd, advocating for her freedom. Amelia Byrd was 16 years old when she and her then 19-year-old boyfriend planned to kill and take the life of Amelia's parents. Now, she was hyperfixated on her mother more so. However, her mother, Christina, ended up passing away. Her father, William, was shot and injured, rushed to a hospital where he miraculously survived. Her little brother, from my understanding, wasn't touched at all. Now, I'm unsure if there was any other siblings or half-siblings or anything like that as far as Amelia goes, but I have put in a FOIA in early 2024. I've recently put in another one because I was looking for just a certain piece of information. Like, I'm not even interested in the whole case file and all of that. The reason why is because a woman did a podcast with Amelia in 2023 and gave her the platform to run this whole thing that she had been abused, not just by her father, but by her brother. And that she allegedly has told somebody that she was also being abused by a cousin. And the reason why I wanted to verify or corroborate this information with her father, her surviving victim, is because he's the only person that could give me that definitive piece of information. Now, I understand why they want to be left alone. I couldn't even imagine the amount of trauma and abuse that does to a victim, to have to go through that and live through that, and then to have to be re-victimized by your daughter, trying to come up with a new abuse story or an abuse narrative to try to lessen her sentence. Now, she is claiming that as far as the change.org petition, that you can Google it for free and look it up. She's run that same kind of narrative. The Willow Foundation, the Innocence Project, will not take on Amelia Byrd's case. And the reason why is because they found evidence of her guilt. So when she now says that she didn't have a part to play in it, that he did it all on his own, that's not true. In fact, Amelia Byrd had 2 boyfriends previously. She had tried to manipulate them into helping her, although they refused, or absolutely refused when it came time to actually participate in this horrific act. So, first and foremost, I wanted to reach out to Amelia's surviving victim because I just wanted a verification and a corroboration on just a couple pieces of information. Did she truly confess to law enforcement? Did she really do it? Was there any physical, mental, emotional, or sexual abuse that was happening, either by father, cousin, or brother? Now, from what I have been able to find, I have not been able to find anything suggesting that her father, her brother, who from my understanding was very young at the time, or any cousin that I can find related to her has any such arrests or charges or history of any such SA type of crimes. So that to me was odd because Gypsy is advocating for her. And why? Maybe because she sees parallels with Amelia's story and Amelia's crime. And if she can help advocate for Amelia, she can turn around and tell Amelia that, yeah, I've been doing this for you. Now, from my understanding, they had a falling out in some time of 2024 because she was supposed to mention Amelia Byrd's case to Kim Kardashian and allegedly didn't do that. Gypsy says she did do that, but they didn't air it on the Kardashian show, nor did Lifetime choose to include that. Now, Gypsy was on parole at the time. She was released on December 28th of 2023. And of course, she was on parole all the way until June of 2025. So she served 8.5 years, and she had 1.5 years on parole. She couldn't talk to or associate with anybody that is incarcerated or has any kind of felony charges per her parole, unless her parole officer authorized such contact. So that made not just me, but a lot of different people were really interested in what really happened with Amelia Byrd's case. And so I reached out, and I understand they don't want people to find them. They don't want to be harassed, and they don't want more people to come forward. And of course, it's got to be horrific to have this kind of thing happen. And then, nearly 20 years later, have true crime podcasters coming out and giving Amelia a platform to further lie. But to me, that further lying is not only not taking accountability or showing any kind of remorse whatsoever. It is literally her still engaging in the same kind of behavior. That's meaning that she's not being honest, that she's not telling the truth. She's not telling podcasters the truth, that these things didn't happen to her, that she was very well taken care of. She was very loved. She was very spoiled and entitled. And who knows, maybe that is the monster that was created. One that is so spoiled and entitled, she thinks she could just take her parents' lives. But that's essentially why I reached out. And of course I prayed for him. And not just for, but with. And I really invite everybody else to do that too. Definitely pray for Amelia Byrd's father, brother, family. Because they definitely need it. I just couldn't even imagine. So when I read that in my video, I wanted people to really understand things from his point of view, but I just really wanted to verify and corroborate from the one person who could. That yes, Amelia Byrd indeed confessed. Now, if she took a plea deal, I'm assuming that there's a transcript somewhere of her entering that plea and that plea being accepted. Now, usually in the court system, and I'm no expert on this, but usually when somebody enters a plea, the judge asks a whole series of questions, especially about that person's frame of mind. Now, Amelia Byrd was 19 at this time because she was set to go to trial. Her defense attorneys had asked for a continuance more than once. So she had been 19 at this point. Okay, not 16 like when the crime happened. So when she accepted her plea deal, she was an adult. She would have had to answer questions by the judge. Things such as, are you being intimidated, paid, or coerced in any kind of way, shape, or form to not only enter this plea, but to admit your guilt? She would have had to answer those questions. And I'm sure that they would have had some kind of expert in that 3-year time span do the proper examinations on her, even mentally, to be able to say that, yeah, she's of sound, mind and body, and that she is very well aware of what this means. Of course, there's also the part where they have to admit that entering a plea and accepting guilt, that you waive your rights to appeals. Now, every state is different, every court case is different, every circumstance is different. But Amelia Byrd has been claiming in recent times that she not only had this abuse happening to her, not by one person, 2 people, 3 people, father, brother, and a cousin, but that she was forced into taking this plea deal at 19 because her defense attorney, I even read somewhere, and I don't know if that is true or not, because I haven't been able to verify or corroborate that yet, that enforcement officers had coerced her. And another article had said that she's now claiming that her defense attorney had coerced her into taking the plea deal by telling her that she would get capital punishment if she didn't, if she took it to trial. And then she's saying things recently like, I wish I took it to trial because they would have seen that I was innocent. And that begs the question, because she might have gotten not capital punishment. But I also went over that in another video, because at the time in 2005 is when the Supreme Court ruled on no longer, because of the 8th Amendment of cruel and unusual punishment, that nobody under the age of 18 can be put to capital punishment anymore. Now, her crime happened in the beginning of January of 2006, so I'm pretty sure that Supreme Court ruling would have already been in effect by that time. However, However, she was tried as an adult because the law, depending on the state, is very clear about knowing the difference between right and wrong. Some different states might consider it to be as young as 7 or as young as 11 years old, knowing the basic difference between right and wrong, and knowing wrong and still choosing to do wrong. So I was very interested in that. But her father, her surviving victim, was absolutely able to verify and corroborate that, yes, she confessed. Yes, she tried twice before with 2 different boyfriends to get them to do the same thing for her that she eventually got Chad Brantley to do for her. That friends, family, classmates, and even people, staff, teachers, people that worked at the school, principal, where Amelia attended, knew very, very well how Amelia really behaved, how she was, what she was really all about. And of course, you know, some kids go through phases where at that age, they're more worried about their peers. They're more worried about their boyfriend. They're more worried about running off and, you know, drinking or trying substances. And sometimes it's all about, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want and ain't nobody going to stop me, especially not my parents. You know, there's an entire industry called the bad teen industry, all around behavioral issues. And that's not just any mental illness or mental disability or pertaining to abuse or not abuse. There's a lot of teenagers that go through rough times. It's a very hard time in life for a lot of kids. I mean, you're going through puberty, you're going through growth spurts. A lot of kids end up having things happen. Like me, I lost my grandmother. She lived with us, died from cancer when I was only 13, and that was very traumatic for me to watch her decline and to watch her die. You know, so teenagers, a lot of teenagers struggle. I mean, I think it's very rare that a teenager doesn't struggle. But in the case of Amelia Byrd, I was able to also get confirmation from him that there was absolutely no type of abuse whatsoever, and that the investigators never found any such thing because it didn't exist. And those are just newer claims that Amelia is making. And he also reiterated, you know, that he doesn't want to be found and wants to be left alone, but this is unfortunately their life, and podcasters and true crimers can say whatever they want. They can give Amelia the biggest platform in the world to spread her lie, and that there's nothing they can do about it except for pray. And that's why I invite everybody to pray for William Byrd and his family, because that's got to be really hard on them, really hard on them. But it really, really sat with me pretty hard when he said specifically that she is evil and that he is afraid that she will do this again or do it to another family if she is let out, because the recent lies to try to get a lesser sentence or to hopefully get some foundation to take her case on and hopefully get her less years or to get her freed one day. That's still in the service of herself, and it's not taking any real accountability or showing any kind of real remorse. And there's a whole lot more that surrounds Amelia Byrd and her case and her crime. But I think Gypsy Rose Blanchard sees a lot of parallels with herself and her crime. And I think that internally, this is just my own opinion, that the reason why she has kind of seen herself in Amelia Byrd is because I think, in my own opinion, Gypsy knows what's really true in her own case and her own crime. And she knows that she wasn't deserving of a 10-year plea deal. And I think her loosely advocating for Amelia is her trying to do the same for her, but also in the same breath trying to deflect attention away from her and onto another criminal. Because there's so many other people she could have advocated for. We all seen the prison when she was talking about the show on Netflix, and she's, oh, I know that prisoner, I know that prisoner, I know that prisoner. And she did nothing but talk a whole bunch of crap about all of them. Yeah. But, you know, Gypsy, I don't know what she said in front of the parole board when she got granted parole. I wish there was transcripts from what she really said, but I know she would have had to say something to make them grant her the parole. Would be very interesting to see what kind of BS she was trying to sell them about being accountable, not only for herself, but for Nick and for the entire crime happening, because it would not have happened if it wasn't for her. So the parole board usually looks for that accountability. And in Gypsy's case, socially, like on social media, she has done a lot of deflecting from that. But then she's also said things like, I don't identify with being a murderer. And then she's gone on to say things like, yeah, I did it. So what? Tell me something I don't already know. And then she's made videos where y'all got what you want with her hair shaved. Y'all got what you want. I'm not going to post anymore on social media. Y'all got what you want. Just leave me the fuck alone. And she goes on in that same video to say, yeah, yep, I did the crime. I did the time. That is, I think, as close as she's going to get to fully telling the truth of what happened. So you got to listen to Ashley Baby's video that she did about Amelia Bird. And she has talked about this case before. So I want you to listen to this.
Boyfriend told police that she talked him into shooting both her parents. Notice no mention of this. I don't think Gypsy Rose is advocating for Amelia, not one bit. We're in Gypsy Rose's book, Conversations on the Eve of Freedom. When she talked about Amelia, she didn't do Amelia any kind of damn favors. As you can see right here, Gypsy mentions how Amelia became her new roommate, and she brings up how Amelia was practicing Wicca. Now, why did she do that? Because she did that with other people, her mom, Nick. I don't know, let's keep going. Then there's this little part right here where she talks about how Amelia and her come from similar backgrounds. She said that's what they bonded over, is their backgrounds, actually. Then Gypsy says, similar to me, she had her boyfriend kill her mother. And Gypsy says, we are similar age. We are the girls that murdered our mothers. Sorry, but this doesn't sound like advocating, ma'am. This sounds more like I'm bonding with somebody who also had their boyfriend kill their mom. I'm making friends. Definitely doesn't sound like she's trying to make Amelia sound innocent, does it? And there's another part where she says that Amelia was just 16 years old when she was arrested after her boyfriend told police that she talked him into shooting both her parents. Notice no mention of this being a lie. There's nothing that says Amelia did not ask him to do this. She did, though. I'm just saying, she's not trying to say she didn't. She definitely not making it sound like, oh, Amelia Smith's fucking innocent, is she? And she said Amelia is now serving 2 consecutive life sentences after she pled guilty to second-degree murder and first-degree assault. There's no mention of, oh, Amelia was coerced to take that plea or she was forced. No, just Amelia pled guilty to murder and, assault. Gypsy is saying,
same way Gypsy did.
For Amelia, that's not what she's doing, honey. She is trying to get y'all to go look up Amelia's case and see that she is guilty and start making videos about Amelia and stop making videos about damn Gypsy. We didn't know how cuckoo Gypsy Rose actually is. Well, let me give you a little update, honey. First off, we listen to Gypsy Rose Alcida on this damn internet line about every damn part of her crime that she can, honey. And here lately, she has hopped on here claiming she is advocating for Amelia Bird, who is innocent. She had nothing to do with the killing of her mom. That is a fucking lie, Gypsy Rose Alcida. One, in the police report, it literally says that Amelia admitted to her part in the shooting of her parents. To give you a little backstory, this happened.
That's why the Innocence Project won't take it on.
Some dude that her parents didn't want her to be with. Amelia came up with the bright idea she was going to have her boyfriend shoot her parents. But Amelia's planning, it didn't start in 2006. Amelia was talking to another dude back in 04 to 05, and she told him that she wished her parents were gone, that she could get rid of them, she could get it taken care of. That's what Amelia told her damn boyfriend while she was locked up in treatment, by the way. Well, this boyfriend also mentioned how Amelia's parents never mistreated her. He never saw them mistreating Amelia, and that's not it. See, when Amelia's friends at her school found out about the murder, about the crime, they went to the principal, and guess what? The principal called the cops and said, hey, I got a gang of girls up here who know shit about Amelia's crime. Now, it is mentioned again that Amelia admitted to her part in the shooting of her parents. And well, Amelia got to go to her mother's funeral. Apparently Gypsy didn't, but Amelia did. These are the things that she said to her mom while she stood at the casket. Days after having her fucking mother murdered, this is what Amelia Bird stood at the casket and said. I love you. I would trade places with you if I could. I want you back. I should have listened. She looks pretty in that outfit. So many times we fought. I wish I could take them all back. I will pay for what I've done. He will pay for what he's done. Another admission right there, ma'am. When I get out, I will come and visit you every day. I promise. I'll finish high school. I'll go to college. I promise. So sorry, Mom. She will never get to see her baby girl get married. I wish there was something I could have done to get the ambulance there faster. Oh, you could have not had her shot. That's what you could have done, Amelia. Now, if you really believe that Gypsy Rose is advocating for Amelia, you're cuckoo, honey. You're delulu. Gypsy Rose is using Amelia as her new scapegoat. Focus on her. Stop looking at me. She's trying to get out and she murdered her mom too, and she's saying she's innocent. That is what Gypsy Rose is doing. And also shout out to Amber from Into the Weeds podcast because she got these hosts for me because I've been struggling. I couldn't get them, honey. Amber put in that work and she made it happen, baby. Make sure y'all go follow her, check her out, give her some love, give her some follows. Look, this is for entertainment purposes only. in my opinion, but it is not all lit. Those are Amelia Burr's arrest reports, honey, and Gypsy Rose out here advocating for her like a cuckoo bird.
And that is exactly why, the Innocence Project will not touch Amelia Bird's case. And for those of you who do not know, at 16 years old, Amelia Bird was sentenced to 2 life terms for her role in her parents' shooting. Advocates say she was a victim of abuse. Not true. That is a lie. But the Innocence Project declined her case, citing evidence of her involvement. You can't see it, but that's what this text says. Also, there are people that have done videos about this. This is what, you can't really see it with the glare, but there's a whole entire text here. Gypsy Rose said in a Facebook, this is after she was released, by the way. Gypsy Rose said this on a Facebook group. Would you be willing to refrain from judging my friend? I'm doing this to offer assistance to help innocent people regain their freedom. Just as those who have developed a prototype after fulfilling my parole obligations. And I will stand by it. Thank you. She also said this on a Facebook group in 2024 after she was released. Somebody had asked, what did Amelia Bird do? And she said she attempted to take the life of her father and took the life of her mother. Her then boyfriend unalived her mother. And then somebody responds back, oh, like you did yours? Go figure. Ooh. And then we've even got pictures of Amelia, where somebody is getting pictures sent to them of Amelia and they're posting it on TikToks and they're like, oh, she's so innocent. This whole text thing, she's innocent. This is their friend. They're going to advocate for her to get out. So that was the whole reason why I had reached out and wanted to corroborate and verify these pieces of information, because this wrongful conviction podcast with Maggie Freeling, and this was in 2023, there's a change.org asking for clemency for Amelia Bird. There was also the Pandora podcast that was done about Amelia Bird. And I was just looking for just simple not only to pray for him as a survivor of horrific, allegations, false allegations, but a survivor of this kind of abuse, having lost his spouse, also losing his daughter and all of this. But wanted to really reach out to them just to, if they could verify and corroborate those truths, and they were more than willing to. And of course, I understand why they want to be left alone. I understand that. But I'm here saying, just like I did in my other video, he has been able to corroborate and verify for a fact that his daughter, Amelia Bird, did this. That she not only planned and did this, she had tried to do it with 2 boyfriends previous. Yes, she confessed. She confessed to law enforcement. She planned it completely and carried out her plan. She had also planned to have 2 other boyfriends previous to Chad to kill her mother specifically. But they all refused when it came time. The alleged abuse that she says now, recently, was never mentioned until she was in federal prison. We are sure that her fellow prisoners have told her to try this new abuse angle. We took the transcript from the podcast that was given to us and we highlighted the truth in it, talking about the Maggie Freeling one, where she talks about being abused by her father and brother. And it ended up with less than 5% highlighted, meaning less than 5% of it, what Amelia was saying, was actually the truth, what really occurred. She is a bold-faced liar and wants to play the victim card, but the truth is she was a very loved, beloved, and spoiled, entitled daughter. I mean, why would it make any sense to kill your mother and fixate on your mother if something was being done by dad or brother, for instance? We have lived with the trauma and the decision and request to be left alone. We wish we could get out of everything. Unfortunately, this is our life. We have learned to rely on God and to deal with the situation, and our family will fight to keep her incarcerated as long as we can because she needs to pay for what she did. We know of Gypsy Rose and her affiliation with Amelia. Again, there's nothing we could do about that kind of stuff except for prayer. We appreciate all of your kind words and support. God bless you. And they also had said, thank you so very much. We really wish that people could know what happened and know the truth. People that knew her, knew how she behaved at school and around family and friends. She is pure evil, and prison is where she needs to spend the rest of her life. I truly believe that if she ever gets out, she will do it to our family again or to another family. And no one deserves to go through what I've gone through. I'm not going to read that part because it has to do with work. Sorry. I almost did it last time too. Has to do with a work thing. Thank you all for your support. When things like this happens, there's no one to stand up for the innocent. They can say whatever they want to on a podcast, and we just have to sit back in silence and accept it. Thank you again, and happy holidays. And of course, I pray for and with Amelia Bird's surviving victim and her family. And I truly invite everybody else to pray for them as well, especially her father, William Bird, to have survived such a horrific ordeal, to lose a spouse and to have your daughter in prison. And then, all of a sudden, after 17 plus years, nearing 20 years now, she starts coming up with these allegations, these false allegations. And of course, I let them know that as a true crime community, people here are amazing, beautiful, great. Not everybody is God-fearing and devout like I am, and that's fine. I have lots of friends that are atheists, lots of friends that are other religions. Fine, totally fine. But for speaking for myself, and even on behalf of this community, that if they ever need the help or the support in the future, to let us know if there's anything that we can do, whether it be writing letters or even just showing up, whatever it may be at any given time. And definitely prayed over them for their comfort, for their peace, for their healing, and to be able to understand that truth is on their side. I know how heavy false allegations must be for men who have false allegations levied against them, especially the horrendous sexual abuse type of false allegations. But just to pray, the truth will always just fundamentally be the truth in every capacity, and people will see that. And if Amelia wants to be in the way of showing true remorse, accountability, responsibility, rehabilitation, then hopefully she comes to a place one day too, where she can fully acknowledge and accept what she did. And even the fact that she's lying, the false allegations are not true, and that she's doing that as a means to an end to try and come up with excuses to not only lessen her culpability in her own crime, but to hopefully be granted parole earlier, or to have some organization take on her case and help her to do that. But she's doing it at the cost of victimizing and re-victimizing her own victim. And that shouldn't ever be allowed. And the fact that she's asking for people, and Gypsy is asking for people to write to the Missouri governor for clemency is, it's like the same thing Gypsy says about Nick. Well, he's guilty. He did it. So no court is going to touch it. And there's not going to be anything that he can do. And unfortunately, it's my own opinion, it's politics and corruption that got Gypsy the sweetheart plea deal that she got. Because first degree premeditated murder is first degree premeditated murder. People keep bringing up defense and killing. It's not self-defense. When you're being charged with first degree premeditated murder, it's not second degree or manslaughter or an accident or self-defense. Those are all different things. What Gypsy did was first degree premeditated murder. It doesn't matter what she thought at the time. She knew the difference between right and wrong, and she chose wrong. She knew enough that it was so wrong to try to hide it, to try to cover it up, to not only steal the murder weapon, but to mail it. She knew all that. So she definitely knew that what she was doing was wrong. And sometimes mitigating circumstances really shouldn't matter, because there are actual abuse victims who did snap and murder a parent, and they still serve 40 years or life. And Gypsy, I think, just got really fortunately, lucky for her public defender, the attention on her case and the corruption and politics at the time all worked in her favor. But as far as Amelia Byrd goes, I don't know her. And so I don't owe anything to Amelia Byrd. I definitely pray for her to be able to come to a place where she really accepts accountability and responsibility and remorse, because she can't be rehabilitated and reformed if she doesn't come to that place. And I want to believe that our system can work. I want to believe that people can be rehabilitated and that they can change and that they can actually make a difference and that they can do something productive. But it doesn't come at the cost of still victimizing their victims further or making up new lies every few years, or after 17 years in her case, bringing up these new allegations or blaming the legal system, the court system, public defender, because now you're defaming real people and an entire court system for coercing you into taking a plea deal. And I just don't think that's true. And I think that her hearing transcripts would show that. Would show exactly her acknowledging her guilt, her acknowledging that she understands what entering a plea means and the court accepting it. And that's what I have to say about Amelia Byrd for now. But I also have something I want to get into really quick about casebook number 2. Okay, so casebook number 2, the supplemental report I want to go over with, picking back up where I left off before. This is on June 16th of 2015, this person was assigned about the case with the Blanchards, talking to an employee of the Child Advocacy Center in Springfield, Missouri, made phone contact with this particular person. This person recalled being asked to assist another CD investigator with a hotline they received to Gypsy and Dee Dee's house in the fall months of 2009. This person advised Greene County deputies that they responded to this location. Also reported that the Missouri Child Abuse Hotline that they stated that they received a report that Gypsy was reported to be 17 or 18 years old, but was actually older than that. The allegations included claims of Gypsy being a victim of Munchausen by proxy at the hands of her mother, Claudinia. Clayton stated the allegations stated it was believed Claudinia was using Gypsy to get funds, and that it was believed they were not actually victims of Hurricane Katrina, as they told everyone. Actually, that is true. And I've put it in my post. The pictures of their apartment that they had actually was damaged in Hurricane Katrina. A lot of people were devastated by Hurricane Katrina. It said that this person that works with the Child Advocacy Center was advised that Claudinia was unable to provide a social security card, birth certificate, or any other medical records showing Gypsy's actual medical conditions. This person stated she was not the primary CD investigator on this case, but remembered the case being closed as unsubstantiated. This case was closed as unsubstantiated, as they were unable to prove any of the allegations that were made by the person reporting this. And remember, this was in 2009, and she would have been 19 at that time, because that would have been fall. She would have just turned 19. So 2009, 1998. I believe she would have been, let's see, 2009, because it depends on if it was fall, before or after her birthday. Minus 1991. Okay, 18. She would have just turned 18. Okay. So this is actually a year prior to the whole Dan Glidewell and all of that. So this was in the fall of 2019 or 2009, and she was born in 1991. So she would have been 18. So when it says up here at Gypsy was reported to be 17 or 18 years old, but was actually older than that. In 2009, when this report was made in the fall, Gypsy's birthday is in July. So she would have been 17 turning 18. That's actually not a lie. That's actually not a lie then. But it was closed out because it was unsubstantiated. They were unable to prove any of the allegations being made. The caseworker, I don't want to say her name, the caseworker reported that she had contacted another person, a circuit manager for the Greene County CD office, and requested that they try to locate the CD report for this incident. I contacted that particular person by phone, who advised the CD report had already been purged from their system, as it is CD's policy that all unsubstantiated reports are expunged and cleared from their system after 5 years has passed, because it's unsubstantiated. This person asked that I submit a written request for information regarding this investigation, and she would have the archived information checked to see if any reports or information still existed that she could provide for this incident. A check of the Greene County Sheriff's Office records database showed a report was entered on October 26 of 2009 by a deputy. This report listed Gypsy Blanchard as the victim, listing her date of birth as 7/27/91, which we know is true. Gypsy Rose Blanchard wants to be a public figure, and everybody knows that that's her real date of birth. She's done so many documentaries and everything. This report listed Claudine P. Blanchard as the suspect. The address of the occurrence was their home. The narrative of the report reads as follows. This is October 26th of 2009. Okay, so it would have been after her birthday. I thought she would have been 18 turning 19, but I'm sorry. I'm correcting myself. She was 17 turning 18, because like I said, it depends on if it was before or after her birthday. So on this particular date that they responded to her house, she was 17 and did turn 18 on July. So them saying she was 17 or 18, but it was actually older. I'm interested in who made that, who would have made that report, because certainly her dad knew her real age, so did her stepmom. So it had to be somebody that wasn't that familiar with them to assume that she 17 or 18. She was 17 and she did turn 18. That was her real age at this time. So that's very interesting to me. But it stated on October 26th of 2009, I was dispatched to meet with DFS and speak with an individual in regards to a child at that location. I had arrived on scene and made contact with DFS caseworkers. Not going to say their two names. One of them informed me that there is a child identified as Gypsy Rose Blanchard residing at the address with her mother, Claudine Blanchard. DFS advised that Claudine claims her daughter is paralyzed from the waist down, has MS, cancer, and other medical issues. According to the DFS hotline call, St. John's Hospital contacted DFS and informed them that a doctor has checked on Gypsy and her alleged medical issues, and Claudine claims Gypsy has, according to DFS and the hotline call, a doctor could not find any symptoms that would support what Claudine alleges wrong with her daughter. I think they mean alleges is wrong with her daughter. According to the hotline, Claudine provided different personal information on Gypsy due to the inconsistent birth dates and lack of medical diagnoses. DFS wanted Gypsy checked on to ensure she was not endangered, runaway, or a missing juvenile. They also wanted to ensure that Claudine was the biological mother of Gypsy. DFS and I made contact with Claudine and Gypsy and spoke to them about the situation. Claudine stated they are from Louisiana and left there during Hurricane Katrina and came to Springfield, Missouri area. When confronted about all of the inconsistent information that she had provided to the hospital, Claudine stated she didn't know why the birth dates and personal information were wrong. After further investigation, it was found that Claudine had a bad marriage, got a divorce due to her fear of her ex-husband. Claudine had changed her daughter's information at the hospital so that her ex-husband would not be able to find them. Claudine and Gypsy were checked through MULES and NCIC with negative results. Claudine was positively identified by her Missouri driver's license, and Gypsy was positively identified by a social security card provided by the mother. So in the beginning of the report, when it says that Claudine didn't provide any medical information or a social security card or a birth certificate, that was actually inaccurate. A caseworker with the department was telling a deputy that, and that ends up not being true at this bottom part, because it says when they pull the actual archived information that they still had on file despite everything else being expunged after 5 years, it says here that Gypsy was positively identified by a social security card provided to me by her mother. So that other caseworker was kind of not telling a consistent truth there. It was further determined that Gypsy was 18 years of age and does suffer from some type of mental handicap. While on site, it was apparent that Gypsy is being attended to reference her personal and physical needs. DFS and I cleared the scene without further incident. This report is for intelligence purposes only. And it says that I had written a request for information, submitted it, received an email from another worker on July 10th, 2015. The email stated all archived records had been checked and no information had been located regarding the 2009 CD case involving Gypsy and Claudinia. And there's 5 pages, and page 3, 4, and 5 are completely redacted of this supplemental report. So the next one is about the yellow cab driver, and we'll get into that in my next one, because there are some interesting things that she says in this second report. But I will leave it there for now. I love you all. I hope you all have a fantastic week and upcoming weekend. And do me a favor, if you pray, definitely pray for William Byrd. Even pray for Amelia Byrd. That their family has love, comfort, truth. And that they have some kind of solace and comfort. That they know that there's a community of people out here that, just want the truth. And you can't go forward, and you can't move, and you can't get better, you can't be better, you can't choose better until you absolutely are able to come to terms with the truth in a very serious, horrendous crime like this. And like I said, this isn't petty stuff. You're talking murder or any kind of sexual offenses. Doesn't matter if it's against a woman, child, man. They're the most egregious crimes. And in order to truly be rehabilitated, Amelia Byrd needs to come to terms with the lies that she has told people. And as far as her father and, his family, I just really pray that they know that there are good people out there who truly do, want to do nothing but spread the truth. And for Amelia to really prove that she's rehabilitated and changed and deserves to be freed one day and deserves to have a chance at parole, she'd really have to find it within herself to acknowledge that she's lied and even apologize. Not to me. Doesn't owe that to me. But false allegations like that can ruin somebody's life. And not only ruin somebody's life, that can ruin anybody attached to that person. It could ruin her brother's life, her cousin's life. These things are untrue and unfounded. But it's no coincidence, because we've seen people try to take no accountability for their crime and actually try to take that and deflect and project any kind of culpability away from other people. But the truth is, it's very similar to Gypsy Rose Blanchard, because Nicholas Godejohn would not have done what he did to Claudinia Blanchard, helping Gypsy and been her co-conspirator in her plot, her crime, if it wasn't for her. It's the same thing with Amelia Byrd. It just simply would not have happened if it wasn't for her. So when people say, oh, it was my part, I did my time for my part. Your part is the whole part. And, until you really acknowledge and accept that, how can you move forward and be better and do better and really do good things in life and really truly prove that our system can work at rehabilitation. And that's where I think our prison system doesn't always work. Although Chillicothe does have a lot of really great programs. They had a woman that was about 73, 74 graduate from college. They work with over 17 different universities and colleges. They have all different types of social programs, work programs, and things like that. In fact, I read up on it and did a video about it in early 2024. Chillicothe Women's Correctional Facility for Women is actually, they got a lot of support and resources, more than a lot of federal prisons do. I was really surprised by that, actually. So I love you all. I pray for you all, everybody. If you can find it in your heart to pray for William Byrd, please do. Because victims of true crime, they're often overlooked and ignored, and they do. And that really sat with me when he said that they really do suffer in silence, and that they just have to accept what podcasters and influencers in the true crime space say, and they just have to accept, the fact that Amelia is given this platform to continuously lie and make false allegations and make stuff up, and that's just proof that she's not at a place yet where she should be granted parole when she does eventually become eligible, because she's still lying and, trying to blame other people for why she did what she did when there's no excuse for it. So hopefully even pray for her if you want to. Some people do pray for her that she's able to come to that place one day and accept what she did and truly find remorse and sorrow in her heart and can speak the truth and acknowledge it, accept it. But until then, I will see you all on the flip side. We'll pick back up tomorrow with the supplemental reports, and I will go through them. Some of them are extremely long, like 3-4 pages, and so it's taken me a while to get through these, but we will get it done. I love you all. Have a great night.